Hello and welcome to CX Today. My name is Charlie. I am the head of publication here. And today we're going to be discussing the future of contact center technology ahead of NICE Interactions International 2025 in London, which you can find out more about by visiting the link in the description. But for now, joining me for today's conversation is Richard Bassett, VP of CX and Automation at NICE. Richard, how are you doing today?
Doing very good, Charlie. Thank you. I appreciate you having me, on this video.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really great to have you here and discuss, as I said, the future of contact center technology. But before we maybe look forwards, let's start by looking backwards. I don't know, maybe if you could tell me a little bit about how contact center technology has already evolved over the past 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, if I look at the last 3 to 5 years, we've seen a huge shift in organizations who are really looking for that platform versus those point solutions they've had for many years. And, you know, many organizations, we call it the Frankenstack internally, that many organizations have evolved over time to having many solutions with multiple vendors. And the challenge they've had with that is that they are, loosely fitted together with APIs and other connectors, or some of them don't even have those abilities to be connected to other systems. And therefore, the voice versus the digital versus the analytics versus the WFM, they're all in different buckets, and they don't necessarily talk to each other the way that businesses would like. So what we've really seen is over sort of the last 3 years, and beyond, is organisations really wanting to make that shift to a platform play, so that actually they do have all of the fundamental capabilities that are all connected and gives them a lot of leverage to be configurable versus customizable, and therefore they can be a lot more innovative in the cloud, and they can drive more adoption, they can drive more futures quicker. And we're seeing that time to values become more important than ever before. In fact, most of the conversations I'm having right now is how do I actually accelerate that time to value, how do I get those in-year benefits, and the platform play really gives you that. So that's probably one of the biggest shifts. It's actually the main reason that I joined NICE nearly 3 years ago, because I saw the writing on the wall. And I come from point solutions in the past, and there was nothing wrong with them, and it was no one designed the future and knew that was going to be the case. But now that platforms have really caught up and are really driving that best of breed capability with all the benefits of the connectivity, that's really been key. Of course, over the last 5 years, there's a bigger play on self-service as technology and capabilities have really advanced to allow that, and customers' expectations really lean on wanting to have that flexible engagement with organizations. And of course, as part of the self-service, that meant that more organizations have had to really lean in on AI, whether that's bots or whether that's the AI in the data that they can understand about their customers. They could be more personalized. Still a long way to go, but there's definitely been a shift in those focuses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we do think back, I mean, yeah, maybe about 5 years ago, it's still happening to some degree now in many contact centers, and that they went to add, as you mentioned, bolt-ons perhaps, so like maybe a WhatsApp channel and things, which work great. There are some nifty features in there, but when they went to add data to those interactions that were happening within that channel or take data from it, they came across huge challenges, and then that involved lots of custom development, and that really raised expenses. And now with AI coming through, as you mentioned, having that siloed data can really be a problem. So it's great in the way that we have evolved with that platform approach, and that NICE is very much leading the way in that. And you mentioned already there a bit about AI, and I imagine that's going to be the answer, because my next question for you is, well, what's going to come next over perhaps in the next couple or maybe even 5 years?
Yeah, it's funny. I just come out of the meeting this morning, and we were just saying, it's so difficult to predict the next 5 years, to forecast the next 5 years, because of the rates of innovation are just so fast right now. If we look back at 2, 3 years ago versus where we are today in our organisation and other organisations, just with what people are leveraging with from generative capabilities, as an example, no one would have thought that was even a possibility, or that the writing was not on the wall at that time. So, for me, I'm definitely looking at 3 year plans when I'm going, but I'm also looking at what that, North Star is, what that future is. And I do understand that many of the organisations that I work with do have that 5-year plan. I was with a large organisation last week, and they've just built their 2030 plan. But if I look at where I see the future going, for me, it's about how organisations can be more predictive in the way that they engage. And what I mean by that is how they can actually drive or get rid of that failure demand into the contact center. So how do I understand that Richard Bassett's a utility company with our business? There's a water leak, in one of the main pipes, in his particular area. We know he's going to probably phone up and say, hey, he hasn't got any water in his property right now. How do I get ahead of that telephone call and the masses of everybody else in that particular area by having the data and outreaching? That could be on SMS, it could be on WhatsApp, or it could be on another channel. It could be telephone with an AI bot taking that telephone call on behalf of the water company in that example. But I just see that actually organizations will be very data driven, but data driven to try and eliminate and have that call avoidance before it comes in. And that's going to drive a lot of cost savings for the business because AI can be led at that point. They can be more predictable about the way they engage. And of course, they can give a better experience because customers are they're getting ahead of actually having to take time out of their busy day to go on hold and to actually contact that business. So I do see that call avoidance, that personalization, the ability to scale is really, where I see the future going. And if I speak to many organizations right now, many of them are saying we don't think that call centers will be driven in the same way by 2030. Actually, we want to be humanless. Now, although I do think that's a great aspiration for many organizations to be having, is that call centers will be less inbound and it'll be more outbound and being more proactive. I think that in reality, there's going to be still a big shift. People are still going to, call in. They're still going to go through social media. They're still going to go through, other channels to contact the brand. But what we will see is that we will have more automation in play. They will be at the front of every conversation. And with agentic capabilities becoming more dominant, in the market and more people investing in agentic, I see that there'll be more fulfillment. Right now, we've seen that, bots, the investment that brands have made is very much on the FAQs with some fulfillment, but I do see that actually as systems become more SaaS based and there's more technologies to drive that middleware to keep them all connected, agentic will really be a thing of the future, and we're not far from that. And many brands are already, trialing and testing, in quite a significant way. I also think as a knock-on effect, the changes in the roles within the contact center and the operations will also be changing. We'll see a lot more in the way of prompt engineers. We will not be eliminating the humans. That's not what AI is doing. We will still see the human in the loop, but we'll definitely see that role change as well. Bot managers, knowledge teams, as knowledge becomes really foundational in driving your self-service, your agent assists, and also your the leverage within the bots and your automation. I see those teams really accelerating, growing, and being a lot more important across a business.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating time. I mean, obviously Gartner made that prediction. I think it was at the start of the year, around 80% of customer contacts, it believes by 2029 will be handled by agentic AI, which is staggering. But to your point, contact centers will perhaps start to think about, okay, we can use AI for this, but should we use AI necessarily for this? Is there maybe a chance of an upsell? Is there perhaps human reassurance that's necessary to boost customer relationships and loyalty? So yeah, the contact center of the future of 5 years time, it will obviously use a lot more automation, but I think, as you mentioned, humans will still play a critical role. But yeah, we've talked about a lot already in terms of data management all the way through to orchestration and agentic AI at the end there. Could you maybe talk a little bit about how NICE is getting ahead of the curve on some of these trends?
Yeah, so I mentioned at the start that we've seen more organizations moving to the platform, more organizations who are looking for that data-driven engagement. We're really fortunate and nice that we've had a platform play for many years. And therefore, what we've done is we've really, enhanced what we have already. We've really built upon a great platform which was already in place to make sure that it is, ready for the future. And the architecture that we have really lends itself to grow and to be at the forefront. We're also lucky that with the investment that we have from an R&D point of view, that we do continually to really push that envelope forwards to make sure that we are ahead of the curve and we are driving the latest capabilities, and at scale for the largest businesses. The other bit that NICE have done is, we also brought out our Enlighten, a number of years ago, which is our AI, which is being built on CX data because of all the years of the call recordings and the validation we've had on the customer and the agent side, with all the feedback, etc., that's taken place. And that's really allowed us to be more predictive in the way that we engage. So whether that's from a vulnerable customer point of view, whether it's from a sales point of view, fraud, or even the way that we drive, the agent behaviors. So, for us, for NICE, we're really, doubling down on what's already been in place. We've looked at those gaps, we've taken the feedback from customers, and we're, again, very fortunate. We work with some of the biggest organizations in the world to really get an understanding of what that North Star, that magic wand moment is. And we've, prioritized it as best we can to make sure that we are at the leading edge and with the cutting edge of, the future. So I think that we've been in a real lucky place. We haven't had to build from the ground up. The knowledge, as I mentioned before, knowledge being so critical in terms of, driving self-service, the agent assist, and also the elevating the bots. We had a knowledge platform which was best in class for many, many years, and now with generative, we've really enhanced that to really give a different experience, and that's really helped us to get to the next level. And many brands have, adopted that. Similar to the Enlightened capabilities, that's now across our whole platform. So having the AI across everything that we do to really make sure that it's focused on CX really helps us. That allows us with our auto summarization of conversations to be really specific to what a business requires, and again having that flexibility to make it in summary in the way that the business requires it to be. So it's really just, if I'm being honest, what we've done is we've really helped evolve, that heritage that we've had, take it to the next levels, and of course we're continually adding new capabilities, new innovations. If I look back at interactions last year and the year before that, what we came to market with and what we announced was coming. We've delivered on all of those things, and they were, we were first to market in the way that we were driving our co-pilot, our auto summary, and a whole host of other great capabilities. I look forward to what's happening, as we move forwards in 2025 and beyond, because we're going to continue to do that again. And we've delivered on all of those promises as well.
Yeah, and again, lots of really great stuff there. And it's great to know you've extended AI across the entire CX1 Empower platform. And there's a lot of ways in which your customers can now innovate. As you mentioned many of the use cases there. Yet it seems to me across the industry as a whole that innovation is perhaps going faster than adoption is. I think this is something even that the Salesforce CEO, Mark Benioff, recently noted, that we're innovating way faster than how our customers are adopting. And I think that's an industry-wide trend. I don't know how you advise your sort of contact center customers to keep up with this frenetic pace of innovation.
My recommendation to all organizations right now is to test and learn. That it is moving so quickly, and it's very easy for businesses to go and actually drive a small POC or a small pilot. There's a lot of noise in the market, and it's really, I feel sorry for organizations who aren't living and breathing the technology conversations that we have, on a day-to-day with many different organizations. They've got many things they're doing. They've been tasked with something, or they're looking to solve a particular challenge and problem in their business, and it's not, all they're focused on. So for me, it's like if there is a challenge and you've got people, organizations, vendors who are coming and saying we can go and fix that. Actually, doing an RFP and having just 1,000 questions in an Excel spreadsheet, most organizations, most vendors will be able to tick them. What they can't do is actually see how it's being delivered, how it's being optimized, and what that success really looks like, and also the domain expertise those businesses bring to the table. So I'm just telling everyone right now, if you're in a situation where you've got something you're trying to do, That could be bots and automation. It could be machine learning, data-driven engagement. It could be your co-pilot. It could be something completely different. You go and ask those organizations to do a pilot, to do a POC with you. Make it very segmented, very small, but with success criteria that you can really manage. And the proof's in the pudding on the back of that, and that will really help you to understand, what it is you're looking for, and that will really help you to drive that RFP if that's a necessary next step.
Yeah, again, it's creating, I suppose, those sandbox sort of environments to experiment, and as you say, kind of see which work best in your environment, and then kind of walk, crawl, run, sort of some of those use cases. I think lots of really great advice. Dan, you'll be sharing more great advice at the upcoming NICE International Interactions International, which I also mentioned at the start of this conversation. I don't know if you could quickly wrap up by giving us a little bit of a teaser of what perhaps our viewers who might be attending the event can expect.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got our nice interactions on the 1st and 2nd of July this year. The first being Education Day, and the second day really hearing from many of our customers. For me, nice interactions, number one, it's a great day. We put a lot of investment behind making sure that everyone gets the most out of it from a fun point of view, but also from what we deliver. The second day, it's really our customers who are bringing to life their stories. And, we're fortunate to have some really good customers who are very open in the way that they want to share their successes and the journeys they've been on with NICE. But that comes across many different verticals, many different sizes of organizations. So no matter who it is that attends, I can pretty much guarantee that you will get something very positive on the back of it, as well as being connected to many other industry leaders and peers. So for me, that is the reason for coming. And again, we're at the Allianz Stadium, Twickenham, this year. A whole host of celebrity speakers and some great music and bands that we'll be having in the evening. But for me, it's really what you get on the back of it. You really understand who NICE are, and you'll hear the future of what we're releasing, but also hear from our customers about what they've done today.
Yeah, I think at NICE what you do very well is kind of you do give your customers the opportunities to tell their stories and then kind of network them as well, and that I think adds great referenceability. If a customer maybe wants to try a feature but isn't quite sure, they can discuss it with a peer and then take learnings from what they did and apply them in their own environments. And I think it's a great opportunity for that, and obviously to learn about some of the broader trends that we've discussed today. But yeah, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, so I think that's maybe the best place to end today's chat. I really want to thank Richard for joining me today. It was a really great chat, but I also want to thank you all for watching too. Bye for now.